All right, let's see how ESP Guitars looks. This is a very NAMM appropriate soundtrack. Shred butt rock or what? Shred rock. Somewhere in between butt rock and shred or both. A lot of V's. They really did a lot with the V this year. I think there's a Kirk Hammett signature ESP V this year. Every few years they just gotta slap a member of Metallica's name on a guitar. Like that purple on this one. These were announced like a while ago. All of these are out in different colors. These are the next range of colors. These have been announced for a while, but at least this explains why like none have shown up in the store yet. Talk more about why I like these and why I want one, and somebody got to talk me down. I shouldn't buy them, but I want to.
The 87 series are guitars that were based on the ESP 1987 catalog.
My ESP is what I considered my first professional guitar. 1990-something ESP M2 Deluxe, and I got it used like $600, $1,200 new, I think then. Like, and these are made in Japan. This was the standard ESP line. Mine are from the 90s, pretty similar to this. This is the Mirage. But these, however, in the mid 80s are similar to my inspiration for getting into ESPs in the first place, which was mostly Queensryche. This white one, it looks a lot like one Chris DeGarmo played at some point. And we got one of these and one of the M1s in the store in colors I didn't like. But they're decent guitars. Once I got them set up, the previous round of colors are showing up for very good prices used already. So my hope is I get like maybe one of these white ones in like a year or two used, unless I can get like a good deal if we do get them in stock.
New Mirage models.
Yeah.
The one that I'm holding here, it comes in a snow white finish with awesome gold hardware. It has a Seymour Duncan distortion in the bridge and a Seymour Duncan hot rail in the neck.
I think it's weird to put a hot rail in the neck. First of all, with the single coil in that position, so I don't know in the 80s, but what came in mine was an ESP brand rail humbucker. So kind of like a hot rails, the same type of pickup with single coil size humbucker. The ESP one didn't quite sound like a single coil, didn't quite sound like a normal humbucker. It kind of was in between, which it wasn't like amazing for either, but it was usable for both. But either way, if I was getting this guitar, I would be making it a Queensryche guitar, and I would be putting a single coil in the neck, because the Queensryche is like the one band that makes sense with this pickup configuration if you put a single coil in the neck. Just a single in the neck, and the bridge is like a hot above the sort of PAF. I think JB Custom and Custom were the humbuckers that I believe Queensryche used a lot of the time in the ESP era anyway. I don't know exactly when they got the ESPs. They seem to have them by the time they did Mindcrime, or at least the videos for Mindcrime. So definitely by Empire.
And it has a Floyd Rose 1000 bridge. I mean, really everything you need.
The Floyd Rose 1000, yeah, that's like the cheap one that people are always like, oh, it has the Floyd 1000, it's garbage, which may or may not be true. I don't think I've ever actually owned a guitar with one of those on it. But you can also swap it out, like if that's a real big problem, like. But anyway, that you can replace the Floyd with a better Floyd if you need to.
Humbucker, single coil, splittable with a push.
I don't believe that would have been standard in the 80s. That's another thing. I don't know how accurate these are actually supposed to be, or if they're just inspired by, because I'm pretty sure that would have been like more custom fancy stuff. And mine had just a 3-way. I thought that kind of thing was rare on a standard model until more later in the 90s.
Pull, so you can get single coil sounds on both pickups if you want. And the whole 87 series, man, it's been so good. So many people, both people who are like into the nostalgic sound of the 80s, people who are like
nostalgic. I don't know if you know, but the 80s is the hot new thing. So the 80s is very cool right now, as is the 90s. Basically, the last 3 to 4 decades of the 20th century, you just maybe even the early aughts, but the end of the 20th century is very hot. It's all the hot new sound is the sound of the 80s. So have you heard of The Weeknd? Like the shred sound, the hot 80s shred sound, just don't do it for an unmarketable amount of time. Oh yeah, they got a lot of the V's. I like that. I want to see more V's. We got one of these color changey ones in the Mystic Dream. They're not really, but, and I don't think he's even the first one who did it. Whatever you want to call it, because everybody has a different name for every color change finish, and sometimes they tell you what the colors are supposed to be, and sometimes they don't. Sometimes they're just like, it's Mystic Dream. What do you want? Oh, James Hetfield have a new guitar, or is it the same guitar? Oh, there's a V now.
James is one of the most
He did it
iconic
again.
members of the ESP
Took a classic
family.
guitar shape,
And one of the most
made it
influential
uglier.
hardware.
I know it's not the same camo as on the Jason Hook. It didn't have like a tank thing or something. I don't know. It was dumb. But it is not the same camo as this one, I believe. But my brain will not retain that information. It can only remember one of these camos at the time, whether it's the James Hetfield snaky camo or the Jason Hook, who's no longer in Five Finger Death Punch. But his brief signature model, I think, was his Gibson or was it ESP? I don't remember. I don't care. It was a Five Finger Death Punch guitar.
Well, it turns out they liked it a lot, and everybody's been saying,
Man,
"Where
they
is it?
like
Where is
the
it?" Well,
ugly ass. I mean, it's okay because it's still like an Explorer. It's still okay looking, but it's just added little extra bumps to it. You got making pointers somehow. I prefer a regular Explorer. They are just legally prohibited. Like the real best Hetfield, I don't know, people always talk about these early guitars they used, but the peak, it's like, right, I don't want the Aria Pro the guy from Queensryche played on the EP. I want the custom ESPs that was in all the Mindcrime and the Empire videos. But James, man, again, they're just gonna stick. They don't change the shapes of the guitar for Kirk. For James, they're like, we'll do anything that we can legally do without violating the trademark, copyright. It's not copyright. It's trademark, service mark, trademark. I think it's trademark. Patent. The best guitar James played was the ESP Explorer that looked like a Gibson Explorer, but it was an ESP and it had EMGs, and that's it. I like Kirk's V better, even though I haven't seen it yet, just because it's. I like their V. Okay, the Arrow, I believe, is there's Rhodes V, Offset V variation. These are decent guitars. I just don't like their shape. They're not that unique. Again, it's an Explorer and a V, and then yes, he made it uglier. Cool. Okay, let me see Kirk's V.
NAMM show at the ESP Guitars booth. Some of the new additions to the Kirk Hammett signature series. Tony, I think it goes without saying, Kirk Hammett, lead guitarist of Metallica.
It's worth saying he is the lead guitarist of Metallica, and that
for over 3 decades.
is why people will be purchasing this guitar. Oh, that's right, they are touring with Five Finger Death Punch. I forgot. They're actually. It's good. So they'll have matching guitar. Oh, well, they won't have matching guitars because Jason Hook is no longer in Five Finger Death Punch. They don't actually match. I just can only remember one camouflage at a time. I like these V's though. They're decent colors. Actually, these might be the least ugly Kirk Hammett guitars in my opinion. And the thing is, I should like his M2 because I have the same guitar. It's just not a signature. It's just an ESP M2 custom I bought in the 90s, and it's like practically the same guitar, same pickups. The old ones, the 80 ones. It's a perfectly good guitar. The only problem with it is I can't play it because people think it's Kirk Hammett guitar because he ruined the black. It's just a black M2. That was actually fine. Those were cool. And then he started playing all the weird ones with like spiders and Ouija boards and whatnot. They just keep giving him another guitar and being like, you want to make this custom? Because they have like a Eclipse now. I haven't really tried their signature pickups, but it's one of those things where like all the classic stuff were just EMG 81s. You trying to sound like Load, or I don't even know if they even had these by Load. These might be like, oh, you really want to sound like 72 Seasons, you got to get the signature model Metallica pickups.
Bodywood. They have a string through construction. They feature these custom, very cool wave inlays. The finish also wraps around the entire body and has a matching headstock.
Oh, so it has a painted neck, which I do not want. In fact, I love the trend of even neck through guitars. They just have the finish kind of stop at the neck because I like a wood finish neck. So I guess the trend is now reversing by like, wow, the paint goes all the way around. That's an amazing feature. Thanks, Kirk. I definitely need a signature guitar so that the paint goes all the way around. Are those like wave inlays? Those are okay, actually. It's almost a little nautical. It's, I hope we get some of these so I can play around with them, because these are the least dumb Kirk Hammett signature model to date. New Hetfield model's dumb. The new Kirk model is actually kind of cool. Not bad.